As we've been reporting, the suspect in the murder of CEO Brian Thompson could be extradited to New York as early as tomorrow. Luigi Mangione was captured last week after a massive manhunt that started in Manhattan and ended in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Joining us now with more on this investigation and how it unfolded is former New York City Police Commissioner Ray Kelly. Ray, thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Let's start with the indictment here because I find it interesting that in it's elevated to an act of terrorism, which now counts for first-degree murder. Do you find the DA's plan to do that? Is that right?
Well, I think you start off with anything you can reasonably put into the indictment. Apparently, he thought that was an aspect of it. I tend to agree with him, but why not? This is a horrendous crime witnessed by the world.
But an act of terrorism?
But certainly, we don't know quite yet as to just what this is. Is this the beginning of other acts such as this? We just don't know. So I don't blame the DA for putting that charge in. I don't see a downside to it, quite frankly.
We want to talk now a little bit more about the crime here in New York City. I mean, during your tenure as police commissioner, crime was down in the city. And recently, there was a town hall on the Upper West Side where a lot of people there told Mayor Adams that they no longer feel safe in their neighborhood. Upper West Side, which is generally for years been such a safe neighborhood. I think, look, what is your take on crime in the city? And do you think the NYPD could be doing a better job?
Well, I think the crime is way too high. I think the NYPD is doing what it can do. I think you have to take a look at the city council and all of the restrictions and handcuffing that they've done to the police. It's something that I think is really terrible. Yeah, crime is too high. It's obviously higher than it was pre-pandemic. I think there are things that can be done. The anti-crime unit, which has been an effective crime-fighting tool for over 50 years in the police department, was stopped by Mayor Adams. These are police officers in civilian clothes. They often work in taxi cabs and certain types of disguises. Very effective against street crime. That's the crime that you see that is inordinately high, and I think tactics such as putting street crime in place would make a difference.
Sure. Would you look at certain factors like we have less cops on the street now than we did back in 2000, almost 7,000 less on average? Or would you rather blame it on the laws, which we have seen bail reform, those bail laws change in the past couple of years? Where does the blame really lie here?
Well, I think there's a lot of blame to go around. You mentioned the laws. Surely the no jail, no bail law was a big, big mistake that was passed in 2019, and it's had a horrendous effect on the city and on the criminal justice system. You talked about fewer cops. Yeah, there are fewer cops, no question about it. There's still a hemorrhaging going on of police officers leaving the NYPD. And I think we have to do a much better job of determining why they're leaving and try to do things to address those problems that they see. It's very expensive to train a police officer and have them leave 2 years later. And that's a pattern that we see.
You know, talking about crime underground in the subways, I mean, Hochul announcing today that she wants to flood the subways with National Guard troops to address the crime. Do you agree with that?
Well, it's like chicken soup. It's not going to hurt. Why not? I think there are other things that can be done. I think we need, for instance, fare beating, people doing fare evasion. That is strictly a determination on the part of the district attorney not to enforce fare beating. And that's why congestion pricing is being put in place. It's about $250 million supposedly that's going to generate. Yeah. The MTA tells us it loses $250 million because of fare beating. Very simple.
Do you think
enforce that law?
We'll see what happens.
You know, you got to get some more common sense people in running the city.
Certainly agree with you. I mean, we'll see what happens, especially with congestion pricing, forcing more people down there when there still is a 60% increase in murders. So hopefully more people down there would quell some of that. But former Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, we do appreciate your insight. Please come back and join us anytime you want to talk about what's going on in the city.
Thank you. Good to be with you.